On other print-on-demand sites, you could just sign up and upload dozens of designs in a few days if you wanted to. But Amazon Merch on Demand limits you to just 10 designs until you make enough sales. How does the tier system work, and how long did it take a traditional artist to get to tier 1000 with watercolor paintings? When you get accepted to Merch by Amazon, you'll start at tier 10, which means you can upload 10 designs. You can add multiple different products for those 10 artworks though, and have them translated into multiple languages as well. There is a limit to products submitted per day, so if you have multiple designs ready, you might want to start with maximizing how many designs you upload and maybe only upload them as standard t-shirts at first. And add more products later on as your daily publishing limit allows. Amazon also sometimes automatically uploads additional products for you. So if the publishing limit is tight, it's often better to add more designs rather than adding more products yourself. Unless you have one bestseller, in which case you might want to maximize the products on that design. You can move on to the next tier once you've made enough sales. On tier 10, the lowest tier, you can upload 10 designs and you need 10 sales to be able to move on to the next tier, which is 25. There's also speculation that you need to have most of your available slots filled before you can move on to the next tier, but it doesn't say that in Amazon's resource page. Sometimes you get cancellations or returns, and they seem to be more common on Amazon Merch than other print-on-demand sites I've used, but I have yet to figure out how much they affect tiering up. Either way, you might have to wait quite a while before tiering up after you've made enough sales, because at least for the first few tiers, it's a manual process. A real person goes through the accounts that have reached the next threshold at certain intervals or waves and decides whether or not they get to the next tier. So depending on your luck, it might take days or it might take months. Or it might never happen. Now, what are the tier levels and how long did it take from me to move from tier 10 to tier 1000 where I'm at now? The time it takes can vary a lot, but up until tier 1000 I was only selling my traditional paintings, mostly watercolor paintings scanned, background cut out, and turned into a design by adding some text. So this is an example of the timeline for a traditional artist who's not doing print on demand as a full-time thing and uploading huge amounts of designs, more so occasionally adding new designs as an additional income stream on the side. I went through my old notes and screenshots I still had left, because unfortunately I lost most of them a while ago, and I downloaded my sales data from Amazon, and this is what I got. It took me 2 years to get out of tier 10, including the first year when I made 0 sales. I changed my approach after that first year and then made my first 10 sales within the next 10 months. And then it took an additional 2.5 months to get reviewed and pumped up to the next tier. By this point, I was approaching the 25 sales needed to move on to the next tier and adding the extra designs and making the last few sales. I got to tier 100 at the end of the year, and it took less than 2 months to get from 25 to 100. So 2 years versus 2 months. But then the next one was slower again. Looks like I took my time filling up the rest of the 100 design slots and got them done in a year. And once they were filled, it took 6 more months to get bumped up to the next tier. And I think it happened a little before I hit 100 sales. So it took a year and a half to get from tier 100 to tier 1000. Now, the interesting thing is that while researching for this video, I found out there's a tier 500. I don't have tier 500 on this chart because I didn't know there was one. I think I just went from tier 100 to 1000. I certainly didn't have anywhere near 500 designs uploaded when I moved to tier 1000. I probably had the product potential almost filled up though, but I don't know if it matters. But I also didn't have 500 sales. To my knowledge, I was on tier 100, had 100 designs uploaded, most of the product slots filled, and I was close to 100 sales, possibly a little short like 97 sales when I got bumped up to tier 1000. I didn't try to push any boundaries with copyright or trademark at this point. I did still have at least one mishap though. I remember I had a design rejected because the automatic translation of the phrase I used turned out to be trademark in Italian. I wasn't using the actual translated phrase in the design, but it was in the title text. Other than that, it was a clean account, and there is speculation that being very careful, especially in the beginning, helps getting through those first tiers when the tier ups are manual. So when you get to tier 500 or 1000, then what? I feel like it's the equivalent of getting into the partner program on YouTube and being able to monetize your videos. It's maybe the biggest hurdle, and once you reach that goal, then your motivation drops, because you don't have a big milestone to work towards anymore, and you might start slacking off, especially because on Merch by Amazon, the higher you get, the further away the next tier feels. The next tiers that I know of are 2000, 4000, 8000, 10,000 and so on. But I have been in no hurry filling up my slots. Right now I'm okay with tier 1000 and adding more designs periodically and making a few sales here and there. But what did I change after that first year of making no sales? To eventually get out of tier 10 and finally to tier 1000. Watch this video next. See you there.